Okay, I got my holes laid out, marked off and punched. I'm offsetting them a 1/2 inch. The top will be offset 1/2 inch from the bottom. So now we just need to go over and drill some 1/4 inch holes in it for the bolts here. And then after that we'll countersink them a little bit. This is my temporary wood shop that I use. It's a tiny little room. It's got a little table saw here, and then I use it for my tool storage while I'm working on my barn. The head of the screw fits in a 7/16 inch hole, so that's what I'm going to use to countersink it. I'll drill down just until the outside of the bit goes into the metal, then I'll stop, and that'll give it enough room for this to sit down and flush. That'll work pretty good. Drake is out there hunting gophers. He does this all the time. Whenever he sees a gopher stick his head up, he runs over there and stays frozen over the top of the hole. And he'll do this for like 20 minutes straight. He actually caught one time I saw him. He waited for the gopher to stick his head up and pounced on it and grabbed it with his mouth and threw him up in the air. And I think he's been hooked ever since. I think it's kind of like people who like to fish. This is Drake's version of that. Alright, I got all the holes drilled, countersunk. Now I'm going to use the grinder with the wire brush to clean them up. I made these a while ago and they've gotten pretty rusty since then. So I thought I'd polish them up a little bit and make them look a little better. Got them all cleaned up. Now I'm going to use a flap disc to knock off a little bit of the edges that gets left when you drill the hole. And a couple of just the plates have some sharper edges on it that I want to knock off right now. Okay, all finished polishing them up. They cleaned up pretty nice. I went ahead and grinded off the weld next to this, next to the hinge right here too, just so it sits flush. So now I'm gonna hang them somewhere with a little bit of wire and give them a clear coat, a couple clear coats, keep them from rusting. And then they're ready to go in the door jamb. Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel. Let me give it a try. Okay, got them all clear coated. I think they're going to be ready for tomorrow. I'm hoping to throw them up on the door jamb and see if I can get the doors hung. But I'm going to call it a night now. I just got a message that dinner's ready. We're having ribs, so definitely not gonna be late for that. Alright, I picked up some more leg screws in town the other day. So I got the rest of the holes all screwed in and tight. And I got it nice and level on the face here, but side to side, the door jamb wasn't the most level. I tried to fudge it a little bit, but I don't want to go too far because then it's going to stick out a lot more on the top and versus the bottom. So what I thought I'd do, I put my laser level, using it right here, bouncing it on the ladder, and I put the top edge, I don't know if you can see it, but the top edge is right on the inside here. And then I followed it down, and this one's still pretty close, but the bottom one is about 1/8 of an inch off. So I drew a line where the laser line was, and I'm going to leave that hinge out just a little bit, so that way they're all lined up nice. And I did the same thing on the other side. So I think I'll go ahead and put a couple of the plates in there and screw them in. I think that's the next step. So I've been thinking about it a lot, and I just don't know how I'm gonna get all the hinge plates lined up and exactly where they need to be without using the door. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to get the door in the exact position it needs to be in. I'm gonna prop it up using some ropes and stuff, and I got it spaced on the bottom like I need it to, using a 3/4 inch piece of wood down there. And then once I get it propped up, I can put the hinges on it and put them up against the door, and they should be where they need to. I think it's going to be a lot easier to be accurate that way, because there's going to be a lot of variation on like the depth, how deep the hinge needs to go in, and all the exact positioning and everything. So I'm going to work on that. Alright, I think I got the door propped up like I was wanting to. Here, I'll show you my setup. It took a while to get it exactly where I wanted. So I'm just using some tie downs. Wrap that one around the stud there. And then this one comes over to this board. And then I use that to position the door left or right. And got it straight up and down now. And the bottom of the door is sitting on the board there. So now all the hinges are where they need to, and I think I'll just kind of put a little pressure up on them and then drill the holes for them. And I think they're looking pretty good. I hope everything's level. I hate it when the door jamb's not level and the door automatically flops open. I'm trying to get as level as I can, but we'll have to see how it is after I drill it. So I think I'm going to drill out the same size hole as the plate here, just a little bit into the wood, so I can make sure to get the hole centered, and then I'll drill the rest of the way in using a smaller bit for the screws, so the screws stay tight in the wood. Another thing I wanted to say is that I've been working really hard to get the right mindset. I can't expect it just to work. I know there's going to be things I have to tweak. I'm going into it thinking I'm just going to be able to throw them up there and everything's going to work perfect. I'm just setting myself up for disappointment. So it's just going to keep after working at it, keep tweaking things, and then hopefully I can get things to shut and close like I want them to. It's a lot of precision, at least for me, trying to get the doors to swing like I want them and close and match up, especially using all this old wood that warps and moves a lot. But if I keep chipping away at it, I think I'll get there. think I'll just check them by hand and I should be good. Alright, I think it's the moment of truth. I'll unstrap it and then get this board out of here and see how it swings with low expectations. I don't know how it's going to come up against the top. I'm kind of worried about that, or even the concrete at the bottom, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, we are coming up a little tight over here. Other than that, though, I think it's looking pretty good. The gap across the bottom looks just about right. Nice and even. Other thing I was checking is the brass washer. You see if they'll all have weight on them, and I think they do. They're not moving. So I'm really happy about that. I kind of figured the weight would be on like one or two of the hinges mostly, but I think I did pretty good distributing the weight. So now I just got to figure out what I'm going to do about the top. And if this is a door inside the house, I'd probably try to shim out some of the hinges so the top of the door would drop down a little bit. But I don't think I really want to mess with the hinges anymore. I'm pretty happy with where they are. I think I'm just going to take a planer and run it across that corner and try to even it out a little more. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's kind of a high ridge right here. You can see light on either sides, and then that's where it's rubbing right there. I'm just going to take down that area with the planer a little bit. So we got it closing good now up top. Goes through there just fine. One more thing I gotta work on now is when it closes out here, it gets a little too tight just in this corner right there. And it doesn't let it come. It needs to come in a little further this way to get fully closed, but that corner's hitting too much. So I thought about trimming up the door a little bit, but I think I kind of want to leave it alone. I think what I'm going to do is just take a chisel and take off a little bit here. I don't think that'll be too hard to do. And if it looks like crap, that's going to be hidden anyways with the door, so no biggie. Off just a little bit. Let's see if that's enough. just a tiny bit more. I think maybe I will take a little off the door this time. I think I got it. I ended up having to grind or playing a little more off the jamb and a little bit more off the top here, but I think it's working pretty good now. So one down, one to go. I don't think I'll show too much of me putting the other one up because it's just gonna be the same process. That's gonna be the real test to see how they match up and how the spacing is and everything. So I'll check in a little bit later once I make some progress on the other door. So unfortunately, I ended up having to put the doors on hold for a couple months. I just got too busy on the farm in the middle of harvest, and I was doing a couple other projects like building some metal racks for a new truck that we bought, and I just didn't have any time to work on the doors. And now it's October, and finally able to get back out here, and I'm really excited to get these doors done. It's been hanging over my head for way too long. I have a nice stormy day today to work on it. I'm loving it. It's pouring outside and windy, and just have music going in here and really enjoying it. But yeah, I spent this morning tweaking the door, the left door over there, trying to get the spacing right. I ended up ripping a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and sticking in between the jamb, and that really made a difference. That brought it in just about perfect to where I wanted it to be. And then I shimmed it just a little bit more. I'll show you a little closer. So there's the piece of 1/4-inch plywood going the full length. I'm gonna stuck a couple shims in there. The top had to come out just a little bit more than the bottom did. And so now, and I also had to grind some of these down. That's something I really wish I had done different when I was building the doors. Was the metal bands should have been recessed into the door, so the outside would have been flat. I recessed it some, but not enough, and as it was, they were sticking out maybe like 1/8 of an inch or 3/16, and that caused a problem with those are up tight, but there's still a pretty big gap in the door. So what I ended up doing was grinding those down, and I think they'll work now. They're pretty close to the outside of the door. And so now when they come in, they're really close in there. I like that gap. Pretty tight. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. I think I'm pretty happy with it. The left door is about, I think, 1/4 of an inch lower than the right door. But I can't nitpick. It's not gonna be perfect. I wish it was. It's my personality that I always want to try to make it perfect, and it bugs me when it's not, but it never is, so I'm always kind of chasing that dream. But now I think I'm gonna work on sticking a couple pieces of steel. Hey Drake, a couple pieces of 4-inch plate, 4-inch by 4-inch steel plate on the bottom and the top, and then I'm gonna drill a hole in it, and then the bolt slider will go down into that hole, and the left door will lock into place. And then once I get that done, then I can work on the handles and get them lined up and matched to the other side. So I think I'm gonna run up to the shop and grab a piece of plate, probably be 1/4 inch, something nice and sturdy, and then I'm gonna actually cut into the concrete and try to notch out a space for that plate to sit down in, and then I'll use some concrete bolts to hold it in place. Okay, I got my piece of plate, went with 1/4 inch. I drilled the hole. This is 13/16, and the this piece of metal is 3/4, so it's just 1/16 bigger. Thought I'd give it a little bit of slop in there. So I think I'm gonna try to figure out where the door needs, get this plate down in place, and then draw a line around it so I know where I need to cut the concrete. I picked up some of these masonry cutting blades in town. I've never used them before. I don't know how this is gonna work. It says they're made for concrete. So I got my box on the concrete drawn here. I'm just gonna try to put 4 lines around the outside, and then I was thinking I'd make more cuts on the inside. Put a bunch of cuts in there in both directions. And then I was hoping to just take a chisel and kind of knock them out of there. Not sure how this is gonna work, but hopefully it'll get the job done. Gonna have to leave the corners a little short. I don't want to cut past the corner. I think I'll try to leave them short and then just try to knock them out with the chisel. Yeah, it's not too bad. The part that's going to be hard is the depth. I think I just want to be careful and work my way down to where I think it should be. Try not to go too far. Burned through that blade pretty quick. Kind of surprised to see it sparking like it does. I didn't think it'd spark. Nice. That turned out pretty good. Man, that sure makes you appreciate the artists that can carve stuff out of stone. Whew. Took me forever, and all I was doing was a little square. So I'm going to put 2 concrete anchors on the left and the right here. I think I'll go drill those out of the metal. So we have some doors on the farm that we just drilled a hole right in the concrete for the peg to slide into. And that works pretty good, but over time the concrete starts chipping and that hole kind of gets worn out. And so I thought this would work really good to be secure and strong. So actually I was going to check. I'm not sure if I even need to drill into the concrete for the peg. Yeah, I've got a ways to go. I gotta drill down probably an inch, let that slide down in further, and then I'll lock into place underneath there. I think I'll go drill the holes in the metal, and then I'll look and see if I have a bit. I don't know if I have a concrete bit that big. I can't remember. I'll go look for that now. Okay, I got those 2 holes drilled. I don't have a bit big enough for that center one, a masonry bit, and I kind of want to get it done now versus wait and get one in town next time I'm in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a smaller bit and drill 4 holes pretty close to each other, and then just try to knock it out with the chisel and hammer, because it doesn't have to be tight, because this hole is keeping it tight. I just have to have a space underneath it that's big enough for the shaft to come down into. So hopefully that'll work. And then I'm going to use another 1/2 inch bit to drill the holes for these 2 bolts here. The drill has a hammer setting, which really helps with drilling into concrete like this. Yeah, I like that. Wasn't ideal not having that bit, but that'll work fine. Okay, so now I'm going to drill the holes for the concrete anchors using a 1/2 inch bit and another one. And I'm going to leave the plate in there and drill through it. It's really hard to keep a bit from walking around when you're drilling in the concrete. And so if I leave that in there, it'll help keep me centered, I think. Another thing I've learned with concrete anchors is that you always got to go deeper than you think. Because if you don't go deep enough, and when you hammer this in, if it's still sticking out top, these are almost next to impossible to get out. So I always just play it safe and hammer and drill it out deeper than I think it needs to be. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and give this a coat of paint, and then tomorrow I'll be ready to throw in there. And yeah, I think I'll stop here for the day, go spend a little time with my family, and have all tomorrow to work on it too. So yeah, I should make some good progress tomorrow.